Yeah, so now here we are to discuss our lab 3 for chapter 4. So again, if you want to use a single file with all the problems in the single file, make sure you separate by using comments and also attach comments to your code. Like I don't need to see the comments for each and every line of the program, but having some comments to describe basic functionality of the program or why you're using a special, like for example, loop there, that would be enough for me or TA to understand how well you have grasped the content. Okay. So with that said, let's start with the first program. It says write a program that calculates the sale commission using the while loop. The user should be asked to enter the sales amount and the commission rate. The commission should be calculated by that formula. The user should be asked if he or she wants to calculate for another commission. If yes, the loop should continue. If no, the loop should terminate. See the sample output. Okay, we have already seen the same problem in the lectures. So basically, when you go through all the videos and also the slides that I provided in Canvas, it's like the problems from the lab shouldn't be much difficult because those are almost the same. Like there is nothing new that I'm asking you to code, at least for the lab. But for the programming assignment, yes, I'll need you to work on the programming assignments so that you get enough practice. Okay. So let's first save this. Chapter 4. Yeah. Okay. So the first thing is we should use a while loop, and we must ask the user to enter the information inside that loop. So let's use the same variable, that is, let's assign that to y. Keep going is equal to y. So while keep going is equal to y. So as long as the keep going variable is y, we are asking the user to enter sales and float, that is sales equal to float input. That is because sales can have decimal values. Next, commission rate. Now commission rate can also have decimal values, right? It could be 2.54 or 5.68 or anything like that with decimal values. So that's the reason why I have defined it by using float and not int. Enter the commission rate. And did I get the spelling right? No, it's to us. Okay. Now that we have both the factors, that is sales and commission rate, now let's calculate the commission. So that will be commission is equal to its sales times commission rate, right? Now all I have to do is print the information. Print, that is the commission is $, comma, and let's say, what is that again? The variable that we have assigned for commission. And let's use the end specifier to remove the extra spaces. Okay. So let's just, for example, let's just say that I'm not checking for keep going again, and we'll see how that looks. Okay. Just want to show you how an infinite loop looks like. So now that I'm done, I'm just saving the program, executing the program. So it is asking me to enter the sales. Let's say I have entered sales as something, rate is this. And see that it is again asking me to enter the sales. So let's say I have entered something, enter the sales. And this goes, that it keeps going till I manually interrupt the program or kill the program. So I could just execute this, or this is what I meant. Like, do you want to kill it? So that's what I meant. Even if I want, I can just do this, or otherwise can go to the source file, then change. Next, let's assign keep going variable again. And then ask the user, do you want to enter? Do you want to calculate? Okay. Again. Let's be more specific than in the slides. Enter Y for yes. And N using the continuation character. Actually, let's just use the continuation character here. And N to quit, or Q to quit. It's up to you. Now let's execute the same program. And even if the terminal is running in the background, now it has overlapped and the priority was given to the new program that got executed. So that's what I meant. Like, instead of killing, you can always do this. Enter the sales. Let's enter some number. Okay. Do you want to calculate again? Oh, I see so many spelling mistakes in mine. And also, let's see if I remove this part, just the end part, because I wanted to, or, okay, let's see. Okay, see, I don't want to see this gap in my output. So, and also not so many decimal values. So let's format that as well. So let's say format. I hope you all remember how to use the format function. I keep using that because it's a good practice, And then let's use SEP. Oh yeah, I should use SEP instead of end simulator. End will remove the line. Yeah, even here, I see this filter gap. I have to use the SEP, not the end specifier. Okay, now let's enter the sales. Get that. 2.5. Yep, the commission is. Do you want to enter again? Like, do you want to calculate again? If I enter Y, it repeats. If I decide not to, like you see, instead of entering N, I can just enter Q, for instance. It's out of the program because Q is not equal to Y. That makes our condition false. Hope this first program is clear. So instead of Q, I can always enter, like, sorry. Instead of Q, I can always enter, just enter, or just space bar. Just doesn't have to make sense. Then as long as I'm making this condition false, I'm good. So I'm coming to the previous part. Now let's start P2, that is program 2. Okay. So it says write a program using loops to display showing numbers 10 to 20 and their squares. So does it sound familiar? That's straight from the slides. Says write a program using loops to display a table showing numbers 10 through 20 and their squares. Okay, so for now, we will be using range function. If you haven't guessed it, you should have guessed it. Rent, let's take this number and \t squares. So when you are formatting the output, you'll also use special characters and special commands. So that way it's a good practice for you as well. So, and as the question says table, I'm defining a table. It's a good practice to define the table when it says table. And I also like, I do expect tables when I say tables, you know. So says write a program using loops. So let's say for n in range, and n here is called as target variable. Good job if anyone has guessed it right. So now I did use 21 because 20, if I just had 20 here, it would only show till 19. So let's just say I'm using 20 instead of 21. And then let's calculate the square of n using exponent symbol 2, then print number, comma, \t, comma, square. Oh, it's not number, it's not n. Okay. It's basically up to you, whichever variable that you want to define. Then that's it. Now let's execute. See this, the user wanted to see the numbers from 10 through 20, not till 19. As the second limit is not inclusive, it is only printing till 19. So if I want to see the number 20 as well, then I should add +1 is 21. Or I could just use +1, like literally +1. That is also fine because it's just math. It will do it for you. Now here is your output, 10 to 20, and their squares. Simple, right? All the programs are like really basic and really simple. You know, if you are facing any difficulties in this, it's just lack of practice. So please take some time out of your regular schedule and then practice more. Usually 131 does take a lot of time and it requires a lot of time as well. And as this is asynchronous, I'm expecting you to spend more time to understand stuff. Allot some time just to labs and just for this course. It says modify the problem too by allowing the user to enter the starting and end values for the numbers and their squares in the table. Okay, so now we are getting the data from the user, right? So let's say instead of number, I'll just call it start is equal to int input, enter the starting value. Next, end is equal to int input, enter the ending value. Now let's print the table format. I don't know why I added this space. So let's print number \t square. And then also print table. I'm usually habituated with double quotes. Don't know why. Just like since I first started with C, and since then I have been using double quotes for some reason. So for number in range, what should be the arguments for the range function? If you have said start, end, then you are halfway there. If you have said end +1, then you got the concept. Good job. Then square is equal to number times 2, print. Oh yeah, number quote \t quote square. Let's see. So you're basically asking the user to enter the starting value. Let's say the user has decided from 51. And then I want to see the numbers from 51 to 60. So I'll say 60. I see 51 to 60. That is the desired output, which is right. It's very basic and very simple, right? I know. Now let's start the next problem. Oops. P4. Okay. Says write a program to display the sum of series of numbers entered by the user. Number must be equal or greater than 5. So it is basically asking you to write a program which is the maximum number the user can enter is 5, right? Okay. So when you are using the concept of sum of series of numbers, what is the what is the hidden hint? That is basically it is asking you to calculate the running total of all the numbers that are entered by the user. So if the user says 5, you should be giving 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Right? So same thing. So for that, we will be using the concept of accumulator. So first, when you are using the accumulator, the first step that you have to do is assign that to 0. And as I've mentioned in the lectures, accumulator is not a type, it is not, doesn't have a specific syntax or anything. For example, this total variable acts like an accumulator in this case. That's it. It could be ACC, it could be total, it could be sum, it could be anything. I don't think sum would work because that is a keyword, but total and then ACC, that should work. Now that we have the total, let's say max is equal to int input and get the maximum number from the user. Enter the maximum number. Oh, did not close the brace. That's the reason indentation was not proper. Okay. So now all you have to do is use a for loop. So for an in range of max, you are adding all the numbers to your total variable. So total is equal to total plus n. Does it look familiar with any of the operators that we have? This resembles an augmented assignment operator. So you could just say, instead of having total is equal to total plus 1, you could just write it as total plus equal to n. That is also the same. Next, print total. Okay. This is an easy approach. We'll also work on a complicated approach for the same. So I've executed it. Says enter the maximum number 5. It should be 5 according to the question. And 0, 1, 3, 6, 10. So see this? I'm saying all the loop, like for every iteration, the outputs. If I don't want to see that, then one thing with just one statement out of the loop, now you will not see all the executions of all the numbers. So let's execute this again and then say 5. It is 10. Now let's execute this again and let's say the user had not read the instructions properly and have given 10. 50 could be just by mistake, so 10. The program is still taking this input. So what can you do to make this, for the program to check if the user had entered the maximum value as 5 and it should not accept any other value other than 5, greater than 5. And in that case, you will be using the input validation loops. So input validation loop should be where? Should be located just after we got the input from the user. So the input from the user is max here, that is int input enter the maximum number. And now let's use a while loop. Yeah, let's use a while loop to check if the user has entered a value that is less than or greater than 5. So first, let's just check for greater than 5. Max value greater than 5. In that case, you should let the user know that the entered number should be less than or equal to 5. So enter the number which is less than or equal to 5. Next, you should also ask the user to enter the information again. So that is max is equal to int input, enter the maximum number. Now let's execute this updated program and see what it looks like. So enter the maximum number. Let's say I have entered 10. It says enter the number which is less than or equal to 5. Let's say I have entered 65, just like that. 50 doesn't work. 8 doesn't work. 7 doesn't work. So you see this? This is basically acting like an infinite loop as well. As long as this condition is true, this will continuously work. So now let's say I have entered the number -5. It still calculated and it gave me the number 0, which is still wrong. So I will execute this again just to show you that 58, it doesn't work. 45, it doesn't work. 5, it does. 10, but it is also taking the number -5. So what if we want to check if the number is less than 5, then it should not work. If it is greater than 5, it should not work. It should work only in the ranges of 0 and 5. Then in that case, let's try to make this change to the code. Okay, by the way, when you are submitting, you can just submit the basic one, or you can have the updates as I did as well. It's up to you. So now it says max greater than 5. And max less than 5. We should have the, I'm just using the brackets for my convenience, it's not required. So as long as max value is greater than 5 and max value is less than 5, less than 0, right? Because I entered -5. I think I'm just making this much more complicated than it has to be, but just wanted to show you the various approaches and various styles with just one program, with one basic program. Okay. Now let's enter 55. Oops, it did work. Why did it work? This is true and this is false. So this should be false. That is the reason it worked, because this is false. So it directly went to this one and it executed there. See the error? 55. So this condition, inner condition, is set to true. So that is true. And this is false. So true and false is basically with and it is false. So as this whole condition itself has become false, though the input validation loop is no longer working. So let's have a nested loop with while. As this logic did not work, now let's create another while loop. While max is less than or equal to 0, then in that case, let's say print. Yes, got the indentation wrong. Okay. Okay, now let's check. With the maximum number 55, it doesn't do anything because we are stuck. If I hit enter, nope. So I got the structure wrong. So this is true, but this is false. So it doesn't know what else to do. So let's remove this as well. And then have a while loop for before the for loop here. This is my third attempt. This is just to show you that, that anyone can make mistakes. And Yeah, it's basically anyone can make mistakes. So now let's check. We could do one thing. Like we could make this max value is greater than or equal to 5. What is the question again? Now I got confused. The number must be equal to or greater than. Oh, I got the logic wrong. The number must be greater than or equal to 5. And I did the opposite. Like the number should be less than or equal to 5. So as long as the number is greater than or to equal to 5, in that case, if that is the case, then it should get the data, right? If the number is number which is greater than or equal to 5, not less than. Okay, now this solves everything. Yeah, got the question. I did not read the question right. So enter the number 55. It's an infinite loop. See this? That is an infinite loop. So let's use a condition. Let's make another condition. So let's say value is equal to y. You might think like, why am I making this so complicated when it's not? It's just to show you that any problem can be made difficult. And then this is a good practice to get the basics as well. Now I'm checking if maximum value is greater than or equal to 5 and value is equal to y. So before I print the total, I should make this condition false, right? Otherwise, the same thing happens. So the value is equal to input. Do you want to calculate again? So I'm basically asking the user if the user wants to continue. Okay, now I'm printing the total. So now let's execute this, enter the number, say 55. Do you want to calculate again? Why is it directly jumping there? It did not even print the total. Oh, that is because of the order of statements. Okay, let's bring this out, have it here, and then let's bring this one here, this one out. So I'm bringing the value inside the while loop, also print inside the, like just outside the for loop and inside the while loop. Okay. Plus 55, 1485, which is true. That's what we wanted to see. Okay, now let's enter y. Okay, what's happening? It should ask me to enter the number. Okay, so if it is y, then I should repeat this one here, enter the maximum number. Yep. I think that is a final iteration, I guess. Let's see. No, but it's repeating twice. Okay, how about we bring this inside the loop, inside the for loop, so that it is not repeating twice. But let me read the question again. Series of numbers Sum of series of numbers entered by the user. Okay. So that's what I'm basically doing. I'm getting the sum of series of numbers by the user. So instead of having that statement there, inside the, maybe I can have a statement that is like basically I'm getting the data from the user one by one. Still not, and then let's add that numbers. Okay, so let's just make the series like the maximum numbers are 5, but let's take the numbers one by one from the user and then add that to our accumulator number. You can just make the change to the question here, like when you're submitting, but if you're submitting and if you haven't looked at the video and then you have submitted the regular problem code, that is also fine. And but do you want to calculate? Now let's see what happens. Yeah, I think I have it. Sure, let's see. 55. Oh, good God, now I have to enter 55 numbers. That is so not happening. So let's just say 5 for convenience. 2, 5, which is 7, plus 7, 14, plus 10, 24, plus 6, 30. Yeah, that is the output. Okay, and if I want to continue, if I say yes, enters the number one by one, it is not asking for the maximum number again. Okay. But I think it'll just complicate it more. Like we'll have to, if I want to have that, then I cannot have this, and this should be inside this. So let's just assume that the maximum value is 5, but the series are changing. 5, 6, 6, 54. Out. Okay. Okay. Yeah. This started with something, this ended somewhere else. You know, if we were in in-person class, you would have understood that this is what I do. I don't know why, but I have a tendency to complicate stuff, and I surely complicate stuff, even though it's not required. So P5. Let's take a look at the next program. Write a program to display a step pattern. This is interesting because we'll be using nested loops now. And I did mention, like when you're trying to work with nested loops, try to understand or visualize this as a rows and columns. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You have 10 rows, and then 1, this is 2, here you have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 columns as well. Like you're basically increasing by attaching like spaces or empty lines in and then followed by the symbol. So number of steps, we do know that is set to 10. Now let's say for R in range of num steps or 10, it's up to you. For C in range of R, because for every iteration of R, you are adding a space to C. So you are like print. If you want to print a space, just quote, space, end quote, comma. Let's do end. I will show you what happens if you don't attach end as well. And then let's have print the symbol. That's it. Just very easy. That's your pattern. So you see you have 2 spaces, 3 spaces, 4 spaces, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So if you do not have and equal to, like, let's see what happens if you don't have that. See this? You're having like spaces, but you're not following, but there is no gap as well. So that is one of the reasons you should have and equal to. That's your problem 5. Now let's solve problem 6. From the diagram itself, it should be very clear that is also taken from the slides. So most of the lab questions are taken from the slides. So it says write a program using turtle graphics to display as shown spiral circles with 36 circles, radius 100 and angle to left with 10 degrees. So, and the first thing that we should do when you are using turtle graphics is import turtle, because you are importing the module turtle. And now let's define some named constants. Yeah, for now, let's just call them as named constants. And number of circles is 36. And radius is 100. Angle, GLE, right? Yeah. Angle is equal to 10. And now let's just use the for loop. So for x in range, number of, such an idiot, all the named constants should always be capitalized. So basically named constants and global constants are similar. You're basically letting the user or the other programmers know that these values are fixed and you cannot change them throughout this program. Turtle dot circle radius. Next we have turtle dot left angle. That's it. Oh, let me, yeah. If you don't want to wait when it is like, making this animation, we can always set the animation speed to 0, like the highest speed. And that is by using turtle dot speed 0. So once you have set that, oh, it's already done. There you go. Turtle symbol is somewhere here. That is the reason we cannot say this, because of all the dots that have been attached. But otherwise, you're done with your lab 3. If there are any questions, please let me know. Yeah. And also, you have quiz and programming assignment for chapter 4, which is due on the 15th, because from 16th through 18th, you will be having time to take your test 1. So please make sure that you have completed your programming assignments and all the CS Circle assignments before your test 1. Bye, guys.